Good morning and welcome to the programme where your calls help to catch the bad guys. Coming up today. Violence on the streets of France. Exclusive new police footage. Can you name these men? Every parent's worst nightmare. The young family attacked in their home.
I think about it every night. To brand a knife and a hammer in front of a 2-year-old, it's absolutely disgusting.
And find out why getting waist-high in water is all in a day's work for these firefighters.
You're watching Crimewatch Roadshow. Hello and welcome to Crimewatch Roadshow. The phone lines are already open and we're asking for your help with appeals from right around the country. Also, on today's show. Can you identify the man targeting girls on their way to school?
He's hurt my baby, he's hurt my child. This man needs catching so he can't do it to other children.
And Michelle and the team have made their way to Stockton-on-Tees, where I think she's in danger of getting just a bit of a soaking.
Morning, Rav. I'm at the Tees Barrage Whitewater Centre where fire teams from across the north of England practice saving people from floods. Later on, they're going to be practising on me, so I'm hoping they're up to the job.
So do I. Now, any parent will tell you that there's nothing more terrifying than your children being hurt, which is why police desperately need your help with our next appeal. In January last year, 3 masked men burst into a home near York, threatening the family inside, which included a 2-year-old girl.
I saw the knife, really. I guess the machete was the thing I was focusing on. My next thought was, they're gonna kill us.
Show me where that safe is.
These kids, they're not men, they're kids, have ruined mine and my children's life.
Ricky Bray runs a busy pub in York. In the past, he collected his takings on a Monday afternoon. He would then bring them home, ready for banking the next day.
There you go, mate.
That's great.
Enjoy, lads.
In January last year, this made him a target for thieves.
I'd spent 2 or 3 hours down there in the bar. So I've been away over Christmas, New Year. Collect the takings, look at the cash, bring it back home, put it in the safe.
Ricky lives with his wife Louise and their 3 children in Arscombe Richard. That evening, the whole family were home.
It was normal Monday, came home, put the money in the safe. We were settling in for the evening, which involved relaxing, watching television like you do. My youngest daughter was playing.
While they all cuddled up on the sofa downstairs, their other 2 children, aged 12 and 8, were upstairs.
Normal nights with the normal routines, nice television time, just a normal night time.
Outside, 3 men were lying in wait.
It wouldn't be unusual on an evening, and it wasn't any different on that Monday. I had Boris in and out, so I didn't lock the door every time I let him out to go outside.
The men seized their opportunity and burst inside. Armed with a machete and hammer, they also grabbed a knife.
We had 3 masked men stormed the living room. They were screaming, "Where's the money?"
I saw the knife, really. I guess the machete was the thing I was focusing on. My next thought was, they're gonna kill us. My initial thing was to protect my children.
But the intruders weren't going to let anyone out of their sight. One of the men forced Louise and 2 of her children into a bathroom.
By the time I knew what was going on, I just heard a lot of shouting.
The men were after one thing.
You're going to show me where that safe is. It's upstairs.
Ricky was pushed upstairs.
There was ransacking through our bedroom, looking for the key for the safe.
How do I get in? How do I get into the safe?
Keys on the bedside table.
The attackers took jewellery and £20,000 in cash and ran downstairs. But the family's ordeal wasn't finished.
So we thought it was over, but then the big guy came back up. They couldn't get out, they couldn't work the remote controls for the gates.
Come on!
The family were led into the nursery, and Ricky was forced to open the gate as the attackers fled in their car.
I was physically sick. I was just scared. So scared for my daughter and my family.
I was in a bit of a daze because it was almost like slow motion. My children were just absolutely terrified.
What makes this even more shocking was that the robbers were prepared to utilise the 3 children to facilitate the parents' cooperation in this terrifying ordeal. This was even more terrifying because it happened in the family home.
More than a year on from the attack, the effects are still being felt by the family.
My eldest has been affected the most. It's affected him socially. He has anxiety attacks as a result, which you don't want your children to have.
I think about it every night. To brand a knife and a hammer and kitchen knives like they did in front of a 2-year-old, it's absolutely disgusting. 15 minutes of what these children, these kids, and I call them kids, they're not men, they're kids, have ruined mine and my children's life. Need to be caught.
A truly horrendous robbery there. Detective Inspector Alan Rowan, what descriptions do we have of these men?
The first man is described as stocky, weighing approximately 16 stone. He was aged in his mid to late 20s and he's described as having bulging eyes. The other 2 men are described as 5'8" and 6 foot tall. They were both of skinny build and they were aged in their early 20s. All 3 of the men were wearing balaclavas and dark clothing, and they all spoke with local Yorkshire accents.
They stole £20,000 and also the family's white Mercedes, didn't they?
They did, yes. The white Mercedes was found abandoned on Hag Lane near the village of Cotmanthorpe 30 minutes after the robbery. We're interested in anybody who may have seen the Mercedes as it journeyed from Askham Richard southbound in the direction of the A64.
There's also another vehicle you're interested in, isn't there?
That's correct. We suspect a silver Vauxhall Corsa was used by the gang to get home.
And there was some distinctive jewellery that was stolen.
That is correct. A citrine pendant which was surrounded by pearls on a gold Belcher chain. It was contained in a white Ogden of Harrogate jewellery box.
Detective Inspector Alan Rowan, thank you very much. There is a Crime Stoppers reward of £5,000 leading to the arrest and conviction of these men. So if you do have any information, please get in touch. You can contact Crime Stoppers, obviously anonymously, on 0800 555 111. Rav, back to you in the studio.
Now, we're halfway through the European Championships in France, and despite England, Wales and Northern Ireland doing well so far, the tournament has been marred by some of the worst violence that officials have ever seen. Well, British police have been helping the French authorities out there hunt down those behind the violence. To find out more, I'm joined by Detective Inspector Frankie Westerby from the National Investigation Team. Frankie, welcome to the programme. Now, in a moment, you're going to show us some previously unseen footage. Before we see that, you do want to stress that you're only looking to trace those that are committing the actual violence, aren't you?
Absolutely. We're aware that there's some people who just happen to be in footage that are innocent, that aren't anything to do with this. The majority of fans who've been out to France haven't committed any offence. We're only interested in that very small minority. OK, well, let's have a look and we can hear this first clip now.
Yeah, I've got him. This male just thrown a bottle towards the Russian fans to our right. Also thrown a chair earlier. Also this male and also that male as well.
OK, now that's the voice of one of the spotters that we could hear there. Talk me through what's happening here, Frankie, and where this took place.
OK, so this happened on the Friday night in Marseille, in the sort of main town area. This is violence between English and Russian fans, and as you can see there, they're throwing chairs and tables at each other at the police. There's pyrotechnics being used, and to disperse it all, the French police put in tear gas to stop the fighting.
Yeah, really ugly scene, and that was the 10th of June. We have another clip that we're going to see now. Talk me through this footage here, Frankie. When did this take place?
So
Again in Marseille, but...
Yes, this is Marseille on the Saturday, just before the match. This is in the main town square. This is fighting between the Russians and the English fans. There was an orchestrated attack on the English fans. We recognise that. And again, there's a small minority of English fans who've got involved in violence. So throwing bottles, throwing chairs, fighting with other fans. And throwing things at the police.
Now, in a moment, we're going to see some stills of that you managed to retrieve from this footage. But just before we do that, you want to stress, don't you, that a number of arrests have been made over there, but only a small minority relate to English fans.
Absolutely. So there's been over 500 arrests made out in France, and only 41 of those relate to English fans, and the majority of those are for drug or drunkenness offences. They're not for violence offences.
So it is a minority. Well, let's have a look at some of those stills now that you have been able to get. These are people that you do want to identify. Some really, really clear images that we have here, so people must recognise some of these people here. And if we look at the next page as well, again, very, very clear images that we do have there. Now, Frankie, many of our viewers may have seen in the news the tragic case of the England supporter Stuart Gray from Leicestershire. We can see him now. Here he is in happier times. Now, he's been left fighting for his life after being attacked. What's the story there? What happened?
So, Mr Gray was out in Marseille, and on the Saturday before the match, he has been attacked and left unconscious in the street. And we've got some very good news that yesterday he did open his eyes.
This is in the blue T-shirt. This is him there.
Yes, that's him there. And then in the next image...
Yeah, we can see... Let's have a look there. Again, you know, something's obviously been hit against him. He ended up being in a coma.
He was in a coma, yes, and yesterday, as I say, he opened his eyes for the first time, which is fantastic.
Very, very encouraging
so some very encouraging news.
And obviously you want any information about
so any
that.
footage, anything, anyone who saw anything or has any footage on their phone that relates to Mr Gray, we just would like to know that, because we don't have any suspects at the moment for that offence, and we'd like to help the French police with that investigation.
OK, and if anyone... I know what people will be thinking. They might recognise someone that was there, perhaps drinking in the bar or whatever. They're not involved in the actual violence. They're worried about getting them in trouble. You want to put their minds at rest. You are not interested in anyone that just happened to be there, not causing trouble. You just want the troublemakers.
We just want the troublemakers. We are not interested in the fans who are just there to watch the football, who behaved really well.
OK, Frankie, thank you very much for joining us. If you do have any photos or footage, then the email to send it straight to the team direct is Central Football Unit at met.pnn.police.uk. There it is at the bottom of the screen. Or you can call them on 0208 246 0076. And if you need another look at the images we've shown this morning, it's all going to be on our website. Michelle.
Well, here at the Whitewater Centre in Stockton-on-Tees, things have taken a turn for the worse. You can see I'm sat on the roof of a car here. We've got water coming up all the way around me. I'm hoping these guys are going to rescue me shortly. Firstly, though, take a look at the day we spent with another team who feel very at home in the water. This unassuming lake is the training ground of the Yorkshire and Humber Marine Unit. This team of highly trained police officers covers a huge area. It specialises in underwater searches and looks after 180 miles of coastline that includes some of Britain's busiest ports. The unit is led by Sergeant Stephen Burse.
Today we're doing a number of training exercises, one of which is the recovery of a weapon. We believe that a sawn-off shotgun has been used in crime and has been secreted in this lake. So we're going to dive for that weapon.
Time to put the remotely operated mini-submarine to the test.
Ready, Mark?
The team have been told the weapon is on a sunken boat, somewhere at the bottom of these waters, known to divers as 8 Acre Lake. It can get as deep as 15 metres, so they'll really need the ROV to help them track it down.
So, very sensitive, very difficult, especially if there's a current.
At the helm today is PC Matthew Edgar.
We're all trained how to use it and how it works. Some people have more knack than the others.
PC Edgar certainly does have the knack. It's not long before he finds the boat on the lake bed.
And then... bingo, nice work. Time to send diver Lee down to recover the weapon.
I've been in this unit now for 2 years. I like being in a close-knit team. There's a team of 10 of us here. Yeah. And it's more like a family, really. There's a lot of trust involved with diving and safety. So when you're under the water like Lee is now, he knows he's being looked after by the team and his safety's in our care. You've got to have a love for the water and a love for diving, but it's not diving in the Caribbean. The majority of our diving is in no visibility, through the muck and the grime, and 80% of it, unfortunately, is looking for missing people.
We've retrieved it, left it on the surface, and we would wait for CSI to come and video that being made safe and being bagged and taken away. So yeah, a good training exercise all round.
But the day isn't over yet. Lee is soon back in the water.
Panel diver, loud and clear, you receiving me?
Yes, loud and clear.
All received, thank you.
The next exercise is safety training. They're going to simulate a diver in distress. This time, the remote sub is used to monitor the exercise.
You've got a lot going on when you're a diver, especially with your umbilicals and lifelines. We dive down to depth of 50 metres, so if something does go wrong, an equipment failure or anything like that, it could mean life or death, really.
I can't see his bubbles.
Panel diver, you're receiving. Give me a pull, Neil.
Try lifeline. No response from the diver.
Get standby ready!
For every dive, there has to be a standby diver at the ready. Although time is of the essence, the team still preps and checks the standby diver with the utmost care. To be sure of reaching the stricken diver, Roger follows the air umbilical.
At this moment in time, we don't know why he's unconscious, why he's not breathing. We don't know whether he's had a medical issue, whether the air's not very good, there's been what we call a bad fill.
Roger must work quickly to do checks and switch Lee's air supply to the tanks on his back. Most importantly, he needs to get him back to shore. Lee's buoyancy vest is inflated, meaning Roger can quickly bring him to the surface and over to the awaiting medical team.
I'll get that mask off.
Personally, I thought it went very well. Quite a distance to travel for the rescue diver. Got to the injured diver, checked him out, changed him over to his bailout, which is the air on his back, and brought him back all in under 5 minutes.
Training's over for today. Preparation for the real-life dangers that the sea and local rivers will throw at them.
Well, hopefully we're staying above the water today. That's the plan anyway. The levels are getting really, really high. It's actually quite unsettling. With me now is Greg Tucker from Humberside Fire and Rescue Service. First question, Greg, why are we doing this?
We're doing this because the fire service are attending a lot more flooding incidents. It's becoming a lot more commonplace. We don't just attend incidents within Humberside, we also attend incidents throughout the rest of the country. So we need to train regularly to ensure that the firefighters are safe to carry out the rescues, and obviously very skilled rescues to take place, so we need to ensure that they've got the skills to do so.
So it is really important for you guys to practice this kind of scenario. I mean, the water is coming thick and fast. How do you control these types of situations?
Yeah, very much so. The water, as you say, is coming thick and fast. We can't switch the water off. It's not like a tap. So, unfortunately, once flooding started, it's a long-term event. So, we need to think about securing the vehicle, as we've done there, to prevent it moving any further. And then once we've done that, we can look at carrying out the rescue.
Yeah.
So, what we'll do is secure the vehicle, first of all, before we attempt to carry out the rescue.
And we can see the guys behind us now starting to rescue us, which is great. How's this going to work? To see them swimming over?
Yeah, so it's important that when we do perform the rescue, that we'll get somebody across to assess the casualty.
Morning.
So Glenn,
I'm not injured, no. I'm all good.
Yeah, and again, that's something that we need to be mindful of. If the casualty got any injuries, so we'd assess them and prioritise who we're going to take. So, for example, if there was the two of us, we'd take the person that was injured first and leave the other one for a second rescue. So what we're doing now is Glenn and Dan have swam across.
Yeah.
We've brought the sled across.
Yeah.
What we're going to do is transport you back across to safety on the sled.
Right.
You can see there's a number of lines on the sled, so it makes it secure to get you back across.
Okay, so I've got to get on there.
And again, just when you see the sled there, don't be inclined to jump on it.
That's what it feels like you want to do, just get straight on there.
That's going to be your instinct, but just take your time. Glenn's going to direct you, and Dan, to get on the sled. So if you just want to listen to Glenn and Dan, and they'll tell you what you need to do now, Michelle.
Okay, so as carefully as possible, slide onto the way to walk.
Okay, I'm on.
Shuffle your back.
Shuffle back.
So your feet are hanging at the end.
Okay. Right.
And our firefighter here is going to join you.
Okay.
So we're going to pull you back across the river.
Okay. Are you going to be all right, Greg? Yeah.
I'll be fine, Michelle. Yeah, we'll get you back to safety first.
Right. Thank you. Can't believe I'm actually doing this here. Right. You really get a sense of the current here. Rav, as you can see, I'm being safely rescued now, but make sure you join me later as there is lots more to come. I'll see you in a bit.
You are a brave woman, Michelle. Also coming up today, how to protect elderly loved ones from despicable thieves like this. And who's looking over your shoulder? The latest scam affecting people using cash machines.
I couldn't believe the cheek to have time to take my card case out and pick out 5 cards, leave the ones they didn't want, and to put it back.
But first, can you help with our latest selection of criminals caught on camera? But be warned, today's are pretty nasty. It's very early in the morning. This bus has just stopped at Cricklewood Broadway in London. 3 men get on and go straight to the top deck. This guy slaps a passenger around the back of his head. When he asks why, they retaliate. He is brutally assaulted without warning. The men then get off the bus before it's even left the stop. The victim was left with nasty swelling and bruises. We need your help to catch these public transport nuisances. It's chucking out time for pubs and clubs in Harrow. This guy chases after someone who he's taken a disliking to. What you're about to see is too graphic to show in full. The man punches the victim in the back of the head, who falls immediately. The irate lout then continues to kick him while he's down. This man caused a broken arm and nose. Let's catch him before his next night on the town. Two men approach the outside of this building in Mostyn Lane in Manchester. The first one immediately starts graffitiing words across the door. Whilst he's finishing up his painting, the other one pulls out a handgun. What are they up to? Once the artwork is complete, Man 2 fires several rounds at the door. Man 1 also pulls out a gun and tries to fire. When the gun doesn't work, he just pulls another firearm from his pocket and fires it at the door before running away. Police believe these men planned this as a targeted attack and would also like to trace a white Ford Focus that the offenders are believed to have used to make their getaway. We'd like some names, please. If you recognised any of that lot, please do get in touch. The number is 08000 468 999. Calls are free from landlines and mobile phones, or you can text us on 63399. Text CW space and then your message. Text will be charged at your standard message rate. And of course, there's email too. The address is cwr@bbc.co.uk. Michelle.
Now to a rather cunning crime called shoulder surfing. If you see anyone lurking around at a cash point or at the tills, then beware.
I love shopping. I go shopping most days, now that I'm retired.
For 66-year-old Mary Breslin, nothing beats a day at the shops.
I've lots of time to go around the shops, even if it's just wandering around, Try not to spend too much, save a bit and spend a bit.
But a shopping trip last March would blow her budget without her spending a penny.
I thought, shall I nip into Tesco because I needed an Easter card, so popped in. It wasn't long, you know.
When it was time to pay, Mary noticed a woman on her mobile phone.
She was talking over to somebody on the other checkout. Drew my attention to her and I looked around, but she was stood sideways to me with a phone to her ear.
Thinking nothing was unusual, Mary finished paying and left.
I was just about to get in my car and this guy came rushing up.
Can you tell me the way to the hospital, please?
He was quite in my face. Directions, can you give me directions to York Hospital, as if he was panicking?
Wanting to be a good Samaritan, Mary tried her best to help.
Just go down there, turn left.
He did seem to be in an urgent rush, so I thought I've got to help him give what directions I can so we can get there quickly.
But the man didn't seem to understand her simple directions.
It'd be far better if you wrote it down for me.
Draw me a map, draw me a map. And I said, no, I'd prefer just to direct you.
Down that road, get to the roundabout.
I did notice he looked down by my pocket on 2 occasions.
And you turn, and you'll see the sign.
The man began to get agitated.
He seemed to then, all of a sudden, just lunge forward and grab my hand, shook it, and then kissed the back of my hand before he shot off. I became really, really suspicious. I thought something's very wrong here.
As Mary was driving away, her uneasiness grew.
I got really suspicious, put my hand in my pocket to feel if my card wallet was there, and discovered it was there, but the clasp was broken.
All of her bank cards had been stolen, apart from one store card.
I was just shaking, really, really shaking. Within 5 minutes, they had taken out £1,380 on my 5 cards. £1,300 is a vast amount of money for me to lose. I just couldn't afford to lose that type of money.
So how was the money stolen? Mary was the victim of a crime known as shoulder surfing.
Shoulder surfing generally works by a group of people working together, organised together. In Mary's case, they have watched her in a supermarket, they've watched her put a pin into the chip and pin device, or they've used a mobile phone to actually record her. They've later accosted her in the car park and actually spoken to her and distracted her, and then they've obtained Mary's cards from her and gone on to actually obtain cash from them cards, having the PIN information already. Just one look over the shoulder and these people are able to empty bank accounts.
I couldn't believe the cheek to have time to take my card case out, go through it, and pick out 5 cards, leave the ones that didn't want, and to put it back. It's had a very deep impact. I never thought that I would be so shook up about what had happened. It really, really disturbed me for a long time, and still does. I lay awake at night thinking about it. It's just horrible, horrible feeling to think they can do that to you.
Poor Mary. Sadly, this kind of crime isn't that uncommon. Joining me now is Paul Somerville from North Yorkshire Police. You've got some useful CCTV, haven't you?
Yes, we have, Michelle. We have footage of the 3-man team that stole Mary's credit cards, and within minutes they were able to get to Leeds and withdraw cash from ATM machines stolen from Mary.
And how much money were they stealing?
Well, we believe they've stolen up to £1,300 in actual fact, at very short notice.
It's a serious incident, isn't it? What can people do to better protect themselves?
Well, please, when you are using your debit card or credit card, whether it be at an ATM machine or in a supermarket, please cover your PIN, be extra vigilant of anybody who may be watching you. Please be aware of the distraction techniques that these people will use.
Paul, thank you very much. As you heard there, shoulder surfing is a very common incident now. You really need to be vigilant when you're using your cards. Raf.
Now it's time for today's Wanted Faces, starting with this man. This is Jake Whelan. Detectives want to question him in connection with the murder of a man in Cardiff earlier this month. Whelan's 23 and has links to Kidderminster and Norwich, as well as South Wales. He has a Kidderminster accent and a tribal tattoo on his left wrist. If you know where he is, don't approach him, just dial 999. Now, this slightly blurry image is 33-year-old Alan Christopher Simpson. He was jailed for just over 3 years for burglary offences and released on licence, but he hasn't stuck to his conditions and is now wanted back in jail. Simpson also calls himself Philip Jones, Gary Marshall, Paul McHale and Daniel Powell. Detectives say he has a large nose and bushy eyebrows and also a 1-inch scar above his lip. He has links to Liverpool and across Wales and also Scotland. Next up today is this man. This is John Purcell. Detectives in Manchester want to question him in connection with a burglary at the home of an elderly lady with Alzheimer's disease. Purcell is 24 and has an Irish accent. He has links to Middlesex, Coventry, Warwickshire, Bedfordshire, Wolverhampton and Ellesmere Port. Finally for today, we have James Radford, who you may know as John Radford or James Bradford. He's also unsure of how old he is because he claims to be 27, 28 and 29. Detectives in the Met want to question him after a stolen car was involved in a serious crash in which a woman suffered life-changing injuries. Radford has a London accent and friends and family in the capital, as well as Essex and also Manchester. He has a large scar on his left palm and a tattoo of a dog on his right calf. If you know where any of these men are, make sure you get in touch. Michelle.
Now, how a young teenager's routine walk to school ended in a terrifying encounter. Help us catch the man who tried to abduct this girl before he does it again. 13-year-old Louise Weston from Hull with her baby sister. Louise is like any other teenager.
I like listening to music, going out with my friends, and I love my family.
Louise is a happy-go-lucky child. She's always got a smile on her face. She's always happy to help people when she's out and about. Just a real happy child.
2 months ago, Louise was running late.
Louise was dashing about, trying to get ready for school. And that morning I couldn't drop her off like I normally did. So she started walking. She left about 10, 15 minutes late for school that morning.
I decided to take the shortcut route, down this long track.
The shortcut took her away from the main road and along a path behind a local golf course.
I heard whistling noises from the bushes, but I just thought it was the wind. I didn't really think that it was anything. Carried on walking.
But Louise was being watched.
How old are you?
A man jumped out from the bushes and started asking me questions.
What school are you going to?
And then things took a frightening turn.
He tried to drag my coat off from my shoulder. He tried pulling at my hair. I was really scared. What's going to happen next? He picked me up from my leg and then he put me over his shoulder. I kicked him and then that's when he tried walking away with me.
Before the man could do anything else, a dog walker appeared in the distance.
I was shouting. I was trying to make as much noise as I could. And he saw the dog walker, and that's when he dropped me.
The attacker rode away, leaving a traumatised Louise behind. Her first thought was to run home to the safety of her mum.
As Louise came through the door, I could see she'd been crying. Her hair was a complete mess. I was completely shaken. I couldn't believe this kind of thing has happened. And I was so angry, I still am so angry, that somebody's done that to my child.
It's very concerning that the attacker was lying in wait for a potential victim. It's obviously pre-planned. He has had the patience to wait there in the morning for the victim, Louise, who unfortunately was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
The attack was over in just a few minutes, but it's had a lasting effect on Louise.
The first week or so, the doors would be completely locked all the time in the house, every door. She wouldn't even have a window open.
It's affected my schooling. I don't like go out on my own anymore.
He's hurt my baby, he's hurt my child. He's he's got into her head. This man needs catching so he can't do it to other children.
This is a frightening incident for anyone, let alone a 13-year-old girl. Detective Inspector Nicholas Ram from Humberside Police is with me. We saw in the film there that there was a dog walker nearby, and you're keen to speak to him, aren't you?
Yes, very keen to speak to this member of the public who was walking his dog in the Springhead Golf Park area of Hull on Friday the 29th of April, around 8:30 in the morning. Louise believes that this member of the public may have witnessed the attack on her. We don't know how long he'd been walking his dog in the area that morning, or indeed how long the attacker had been laying in wait, so they may have seen each other prior to the incident or even conversed with each other.
Now, you don't think this is the first time the attacker has struck?
No, unfortunately not. Approximately a week prior to this incident, on Hull Road in Anlaby, near Anlaby Common, two 13-year-old girls were approached by a very similar-looking male on a black mountain bike, slim build, dark hair, dark stubble, who tried to engage them in a very sexualised conversation before making an indecent proposal to them regarding behaviour.
You've got a CCTV image of a man that you wish to speak to.
Yes, there was a burglary earlier on that day where, amongst other things, a green-handled knife was stolen, and this CCTV footage is very similar to the description of the male from both incidents.
Detective Inspector Nicholas Ram, thank you very much. Obviously, if you do have any information on this case, you know what to do. Rav.
Yeah, if you do know who this man is, please get in touch. We'd definitely like to hear from you. Now, the latest figures show that theft and fraud cases against the vulnerable and elderly in their homes have doubled in the last year. The charity Action on Elder Abuse estimates that £18 million worth of money and goods was stolen, and that's led to more families installing hidden cameras to help catch the thieves red-handed. With me now is Chief Executive of Action on Elder Abuse, Gary Fitzgerald, and Simon Berlin, who actually caught his mother's carer in the act after installing hidden cameras himself. Good morning to you both. Simon, tell us what happened to your mum.
I discovered money was going missing from her purse regularly. I couldn't find out who of the many visitors to her home and carers who went to her were involved in the theft. And it wasn't a decision I took lightly. But the only way I could narrow down who was responsible was by installing a hidden camera in a smoke alarm.
So your mother had a number of carers that visited her and looked after her in her own home, and you, as you say, you installed a hidden camera in a smoke alarm, so no one knew it was there. We've actually got some brilliant footage that you got from this. What's happening here, Simon?
So she removes the purse, she goes to slip some money out of it.
And this is a carer?
That's the carer, and you'll see her clean the purse with a cloth to try and remove fingerprints. And I also caught on camera her falsifying the logbook, which you can see there just above where she's put the purse away.
We've just seen her take the contents of that purse and out, and that footage, crucial evidence there, Simon, isn't it? Crucial evidence that you got for the theft against your mum. Gary, it's terrible what happened. What advice would you give to someone who has suspicions about someone perhaps stealing from a parent?
Well, first thing to say is these are opportunistic thieves. They don't necessarily plan it in ahead. So reducing opportunities is a very, very good thing. Try not to leave money around if that's at all possible. But if you do, make sure people know everyone's watching. Transparency into this works fine. Go to the bank and cap how much money can be taken out of an account at any one time, because that will give you time to find out what's going on. If you're getting bank statements, get them to send them to somebody you trust as well, so there's another person looking in. And if you don't have a shredder, throw important documents that you want to get rid of into a bowl of water. Gets rid of them in a couple of days. We've got some great leaflets on our website that gives you loads of information on this. There's practical stuff you can do to protect yourself.
Really good advice, Gary, thank you. And you put the hidden camera into a smoke alarm, as you say. We've got some examples here of hidden cameras that we can all buy these days. 10 years ago, they'd have to be installed by a specialist. I mean, this one, for example, literally looks like an old coffee cup. It's not. There is a camera in there, so it's remarkable what you can do. But, Gary, you do want people to be aware. We're not suggesting they put it in a commercial or a public property. Obviously, they could be committing an offence there. This was done in a private home, so you want people to be very aware of that.
Yeah, and the majority of people who are working as carers are actually brilliant people. I think we need to say that right at the start of this. But yes, you only do this if you've got real suspicions, there's a real issue that you want to get to the bottom of, you can't work it out any other way. That's when you do it, but not as a gentle rule. We don't want to see these in all older people's houses all over the place. It's got to be targeted.
Absolutely. As you say, most carers are genuine and want to look after the people. So thank you very much. Great advice, Gary and Simon. What a brilliant story with what you did for your mum. Thank you both. Michelle.
We're back with Humberside Fire and Rescue Service, where we're practising saving people from flooding. Joining me again is Greg Tucker. So what is going to happen next?
What we're going to do next, Michelle, 2 firefighters are going to enter the water, simulating some casualties that have got washed away.
OK.
They're going to flow down the river.
So they're coming down now,
they're going to be coming down. So we need to obviously get them out of the water as quickly and as effectively as we can, efficiently.
Definitely.
So what we're going to do to get them out is we've got 2 of our firefighters stood by to swim across and grab the casualties and get them out of the water.
I see. I mean, the water is so fast flowing here, isn't it?
It is.
I can see why you need to train properly for this kind of thing.
And it's very deceptive. It's probably only actually flowing at about 6 miles an hour, but the volume of the water that's coming down does make it incredibly hard to get out.
And what's happening here?
Yeah, one of the firefighters has swam across and rescued the casualty. We're going to bring him in to the bank and get him out of the water.
It all has to happen really quickly, doesn't it?
It's got to be done really efficiently and effectively.
Well, should I have a go at throwing a line in and see if I can do it myself?
We'll get another casualty in the water.
OK, take this.
What we're going to do is we're going to throw the casualty a line, a rope, essentially, and he's going to catch that, and then we're going to get him out.
OK, so any tips for where I throw it?
Yeah, you're going to throw the line across Dan's body.
OK, across the body.
Shout to him to tell him that you're going to throw it.
OK, let's
tell him to hold on
this.
to it.
I'm going to throw you a line!
So what we need to do now is grab this line.
Gosh, it's heavy,
and bring
isn't it?
Dan in.
Yep. We've got him.
We'll get him out of the water.
He's happy.
So Neil's bringing him out now. And we just need to assess and make sure that he's OK and fit and well.
So that's what you have to do, isn't it? Check they're OK. As soon as they come out of the water, your checks are still going on. It's not just about what's happening here.
So we're going to administer first aid to anybody if they've got any injuries.
Of course.
As you can see, it's coming down at quite a lot of speed.
Definitely. Greg, thank you so much. It's really good to see you guys in action. It's really impressive stuff, Rav. I think these guys need to have a bit of a rest, a cup of tea and chill out for a bit, Rav. Back to you.
Just time for a quick update for you. Hot off the press, we've already had some potential names in for some of the men that police want to speak to about that disorder in France. But they also want to hear from anyone with information about the serious assault on Stuart Gray. Now, he was the victim there in the blue T-shirt that was left in a coma, so they need more information there. The images are on our website, though, if you do want to have another look. Also, we've had some good information in about that horrific rape in Leeds City Centre that we featured yesterday. You remember the suspect actually carried the victim off. Detectives tell us they're now following up some promising new leads as a direct result of your call. So thank you for all that information. Michelle, tell us, where are you going to be tomorrow?
Tomorrow, we'll be out with North Yorkshire's Rural Task Force as they crack down on wildlife crime, in particular poaching from rivers at night. I'm also in Gateshead at a state-of-the-art firearms training centre where the police and the military train. Rav, it's been a day packed full of action today. I shall see you first thing in the morning.
Thanks, Michelle. See you then. For more details about the Crimes on Stage programme, go to our website, but we're going to be back tomorrow morning. But on BBC Two, and it's a slightly earlier time of 9 o'clock, so make sure you join us there. Before we go, here's another look at this morning's Wanted Faces, though. If any of them look familiar, pick up the phone and tell us where they are. Until tomorrow, take care. Bye-bye.